art. Who else? There's a lot of examples of this. So come up with lots of ideas. We could dive deep on this one on the podcast, and I can show people, like I can show you how this one works. Just to go over the other ones.
It reminds me this 10,000 hours of training for sports people. It's like they need to do it again and again, right? And the same, I've been like master class, so I have.
Yes, I've taken some.
Yeah, I've taken some of them. So many of the writers there, they always indicate you should write. Even if you're feeling blocked, you should write or write. You could fix this afterwards, but you need to create something. And you could go from there. Maybe some of it will not be relevant for you afterwards, but this like creation and being proactive helps you to get to where you want, instead of like just thinking about, I cannot do it. I cannot like make this sentence or this part is not working. I would stop. So I think it's very similar to what you're saying.
Absolutely. Writer's block is such an interesting one. I've definitely had the experience of like not having that issue. I've had it like when I was younger, I think because you get forced to write about things you don't want to write about.
To do many things you're not supposed to really enjoy. So that's why.
That part can be challenging. And then I think when you find your way to writing that you're interested in doing, that helps a lot to eliminate writer's block. And then the creativity training, I think, has a pretty tremendous effect on reducing writer's block. Namely deferring judgment. One of the things we try to teach people to do is when you're in the creative mode, be in the creative mode, and then you switch and you're in the critical thinking mode and you stay in the critical thinking mode. And then you can learn how to flip back and forth later. What's important at first is to get out of the critical thing. So defer your judgment. Don't judge it. Just come up with ideas. So to flip back, the other 4 habits are using feedback to improve ideas. This is playing angel's advocate, as my teammate Maggie likes to say, as opposed to devil's advocate, which we're all so skilled at and has almost no value. So playing angel's advocate, use feedback to improve ideas. There's asking the right questions, and namely the else question. So you can do the journalistic questions, right? Who, what, how, when, et cetera, if you want to understand the context or the problem. But you might also ask who else, what else, why else, how else? And if you keep asking the else question, you start to get breadth. And that's what's referred to as lateral thinking. You start to get many, many views on the problem, not just the first one. Why would the first one be the best one? It's like get 10 perspectives on the problem, then you'll have a lot more rich and understanding.
Yeah, it's like instead of having black and white, you have so many other grays. And it could work in many other aspects. Like even if you communicate with a person and you think differently than him, you can say, what else could we agree on, instead of like being oppositional? And like you think A, I think B, and that's it, right? So it opens your mind to other people and other ideas, other possibilities in that sense.
Absolutely. When we get tactical in innovation, we generally ask 2 questions. Why is this important? What's stopping you? And then again, why else is this important? What else is stopping you? And so when you're asking, why is this important? You're asking for the motives and the rationale behind a particular problem. So I'm broke and unemployed and I need a job. Okay, well, why is this important for you to solve? It's like, well, because I'm bored. Oh, okay. Or because I need to feed my family, or because like those are different and you should understand the motives. Okay, what's stopping you from getting a job? I don't know if I'm connected to a network of people that are passionate about what I'm passionate about. Oh, okay, networking, cool. Or I don't know that my resume is really up to par. Oh, well, let's clean up the resume. And so you can start to map out a problem using those 2 questions. Why is this important? What's stopping you? And you keep asking those questions and you build a mind map. That's asking the right questions. There's 2 more. Test early and often. There's some seminal work done by Steve Blank and Eric Ries, packaged in a book called Lean Startup. They focus on startups and entrepreneurship, but the ideas are applicable everywhere. And namely, you want to test early and often. You don't want to build a $1 billion prototype and then have your first user. That's a recipe for disaster. You want to build a $1 million prototype or a $10,000 prototype, or cheaper if you can get away with it, and then expose that to a user and learn. And you want to kind of co-create with whoever this product is intended to serve. In some instances, of course, that's really challenging. You're talking about large infrastructure projects and so forth.
Sure.
There are other ways to test there, not direct exposure
Yeah.
with you. There are other ways to do tests, but you always have to test early and often, run the experiments, do the learning. The point being, if you're setting out to innovate, to do something that's never been done before, or that hasn't been done by you, you're going to have to try things you've never tried, which means you're going to have to learn. And so you just take off the success hat, the achievement hat, you throw it in the trash, or you put it on the side, you bring it back later. And then you put on the learner hat and you go, okay, I'm trying to do something I've never done. I'm going to try stuff and see what I learn. I'm trying very hard not to use the word mistake, because the whole point is you don't think about them like mistakes. That's not the orientation. It's try stuff, produce a result, look at the result, adjust. So that's test early and often. Lastly, even the most skilled, masterful innovators do all of that, and then stuff still changes once reality, comes into play. So the last one is be ready to improvise, or be ready to adapt. And the idea is that once you get into implementation, the prototypes and the plan and the experiments, yeah, okay, it all got you here. But if something changes, you're going to have to figure it out on the fly, and sometimes quite quickly. And so